So Janackeh, first question, and really the only question is, what is your ADHD journey? Tell this story however the hell you want. From your diagnosis, self-diagnosis, whatever it may be. Medication, non-medication, floor is yours.
Yeah.
Tell it. This is a free space.
Okay. Gosh, it's so like, I feel like my journey is so like, those movies where the timeline jumps back and forth, like childhood to adulthood to like adolescence to adulthood. Yeah, I feel like
Right.
that's how I see my journey in my head.
I kind of do too, actually. So
one thing that struck me was when I read your email originally, and you talked about some things about yourself. We had a lot of things in common.
Really?
The very first being adopted. I was adopted as well.
Oh my God. Greatest podcast episode ever. Greatest ever. Okay, now we totally shifted into that. No, that is awesome. I'm so happy to meet someone. You're the first one.
Oh, okay.
that I've spoken with. Hell yes. Okay, keep going.
So,
I love this already.
that's I guess that would be the beginning of my life journey that kind of, I don't know, maybe informs some of the ADHD. So when I was actually like, I'm an open book, but I was adopted because I was actually a crack baby. I was born in 1981. So like the height of the crack epidemic in the Bay Area, in Palo Alto, California. So
82 for me.
Okay. And so like when I was born, they said that like I was like, I remember, well, on my birth certificate, I was like less than 3 pounds. I was born 2 months early. And so I was in an incubator for 2 months. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they were like, but you fought. They were like, as a baby, you were a fighter and you're not gonna give up. And I'm like, yeah, that's been pretty that tracks for my life journey. And so that kind of, and then the family that I was adopted into was absolutely amazing. I had an amazing family, an amazing upbringing. I grew up in a 2-parent household. My parents eventually did split up, but it wasn't until I was already like about to graduate high school. So like I had an amazing family. It was me, my mom and dad, and my sister, who she was also adopted, and she's 14 years older than me. So I was
God.
Yeah, like I was always around adults. So, I kind of felt adult when I really wasn't.
I felt like I was an adult, but I hate adulting. So that kind of
that part too.
Right.
But so I had no clue what ADHD was. I'm currently 41 years old. And I didn't really learn too much about ADHD probably in the last like 10 or 12 years, really. I did not get diagnosed until a year ago.
Oh my God, that's another one. Another 90% of the people I speak with are from that 1 year to 2 years since COVID happened diagnosis, which I find as it's sad, but it's also like, God damn it, why didn't people recognize it earlier? Like that it angers me because I was diagnosed at 5. And that is my privilege and advantage is my mom was like, something's wrong. And we need to we need to get you tested and whatnot. But unbelievable, Janackeh. This is very similar. This is an incredible story already. So keep going.
Well, I think for individuals that are assigned female at birth, we present differently with ADHD, and so it's kind of hard to tell. So like for me personally, what's funny was when I talked to my mom about it after I got my diagnosis, at first she was like, oh no, you don't have it. And I was like, Mom, and I've kind of tried to like slowly teach her. My mom's older, she's 83 years old, so like but she's so like, oh, I love her for being so like open and like able to like change her mind on things that she was very like rigid about her whole life. But
That's
um
awesome.
yeah, so I like at first she was like, no, you don't have that. And then I started to explain to her like my lived experience. And one thing that I'm trying to teach my mom is that like you can have a difference of opinion, and teach everybody, by the way, is that you can have a difference of opinion with people, and you can, that's totally fine, but you cannot really debate somebody's lived experience.
Right.
Like that's
Oh,
just,
that's a great way of saying that. That's a
yeah,
great
like
way of saying that.
if
It-
somebody tells you what they
yeah,
lived through, there's no like questioning that, or
right.
you know,
That's
you
what we're
can really,
desperately missing in this world, I think, is the ability to disagree with someone and still love them as a
yeah,
like right now, if someone disagrees with someone else, it's like I hate them as a person. That makes
yeah,
no sense to me. Like it's
yeah.
so unbelievable.
Like when people, especially I guess like in the ADHD space, I think that this comes
Yeah,
up a lot. When somebody tells you that this is their experience, believe them.
right.
Like, you know, so I kind of, I told my mom, I was like, here's what it was like for me growing up. I know that it appeared a certain way, but here's internally what I was feeling, what I was experiencing, what I was dealing with. And when I broke it down that way, she was like, oh, well then maybe you do. Maybe you do have.
Yeah, you had to prove it to her first.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
that's funny. I
But
think guys and girls present it different, because ADHD is the quote 12-year-old boys syndrome.
mhm,
Whereas with girl, and that's all external. And I'm the stereotypical ADHD person, bouncing off the walls, all this. It's easy to diagnose someone like me, but it's not so easy to diagnose a girl who is internal with her restlessness because she is so scared of presenting that to anyone else. So, like, I think
right.
guys are overdiagnosed and girls are way
Yeah,
underdiagnosed because of
yeah.
that.
Hmm. And once, like, I guess, well, in the last couple of years, mostly, once I really started looking into it, I was just floored by like, I was like, yeah, I have experienced this, like I do this. And what's been so eye-opening for me personally is that now, knowing that I have been like officially diagnosed by a professional,
Awesome.
instead of just like, thinking maybe could be, now on the other side of diagnosis, at first, I went through what a lot of adults who get diagnosed go through, which is being angry that nobody diagnosed us, nobody,
Yeah.
took the time to really dig deep and figure out what was going on with us. And we could have had, we think we could have had a different experience. But
Yeah.
I think on this side of diagnosis, I went through that phase at first, and now it's exciting because now with my boyfriend, of course he knows all about my diagnosis, so things pop up every now and then, and I'm able to like talk to him and explain to him in the moment how I'm experiencing it
Yeah.
versus how he's experiencing it, and he's just like, whoa, because it's always so vastly
Oh,
different.
absolutely. And that'll bring y'all closer together each time that happens. My wife is neurotypical as shit. I'm telling you right now. Like it is I'm good at finances. I am good, all of these things that I am not good at. But it's funny because when she looks at something, the way that I view it is polar opposite. But she gains so much from me in saying, like, this is the reason why I feel this way. And ultimately, the person with ADHD, if it's an important topic, is right
Yeah,
on how those things are going to end up. Like we
yeah,
can predict a lot of things because we are noticing everything that's going on around us in order to solve that, like almost instantly. It's
yeah,
the bullshit stuff that we're not good at. So people are like, how is this person not able to tie their shoes, but they can run a Fortune 500 company? Like that doesn't make sense to the world.
yeah. Well, it's because everybody's paying attention to what's like right in your face. We see everything on the periphery.
Exactly. And oh, that is such a good way of putting that. I love it. I love it. Oh God damn it, Janackeh. I should have talked to you so much longer ago. So continuing on with your journey, it was you were adopted, all those things, and then so what was high school really like?
And this is where my mom, was like, no, you don't have that, because I was an excellent student. I was
Yeah.
really good at school. I love school. I love learning. That's just lifelong. I'm a lifelong learner. I love it. It's exciting to me. Always has been. But my mom, she's like, you always got pretty much A's and B's. Like if I got a C, I got upset. Like
Holy
I,
shit.
yeah,
My parents would have loved you because because that was, if I got a C, it was like I'm bringing home a trophy. Like
yeah.
that's so.
Yeah, I mean,
Teach
everybody's
them.
experience is different,
Right.
and we didn't. And I think like in the 80s and 90s, people were not really paying attention to like people learn differently. Not everybody learns this one way, and
Right.
it can't be standardized for everyone. But nobody was really focused on that back then. So it's like here's how you learn. You either figure it out or you don't. And so I didn't realize at the time, but I pushed myself so hard, and I was working like doubly hard as the same people that were getting the same grades as I was. But I
Yeah.
didn't know. I thought that everybody was working that hard, and it was that difficult for people to concentrate and pay attention and stay on, task. I thought everybody struggled with that the same way. And
Wow.
so I just figured, I'm working super hard, but I'm also have something to show for it. So,
Right.
kind of, I guess it felt like valid that I was working that hard.
It's the results that we, tend to look at. So if I'm exhausted and I go through that burnout phase, which we all do when we're putting our heart and soul into everything, if we see a result from our exhaustion, it's okay. We
Right.
can quickly get over that. But if we don't see a good result from being so tired, then we start to spiral the other way. And I think
Hmm.
that's what's really, that the rejection sensitive dysphoria and all that kind of stuff, that's where it tends to domino in the opposite direction,
Hmm.
which is kind of the reason, a lot of the reason for this podcast is I want people to understand that momentum is one of the biggest things on earth with ADHD.
Hmm.
And so, of course, I get tired. I get burnout from making TikTok videos and all this. It's like, what do I have to do next? What do I have to do next? But there's a result from the exhaustion. I'm talking to you today, because I went on a Twitter space when I was tired. And
Mm.
then you said something that really was amazing, and then you kept saying amazing things on those Twitter spaces. And then I was like, Janackeh, that's my girl right there. That's the one I want to talk to next. So we have to see the result, but the result has to be immediate, I think.
Yeah.
It can't be a delayed
Yeah.
result because then we're doing this.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you agree
Yeah.
with that? I mean, you can disagree with that.
Yeah, no, like, yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard when you don't have at least some sense of instant gratification to
right, right.
continue doing. And that, I think that kind of leads me into getting into tech,
Yeah,
because that kind of also informs my ADHD journey. I'm finding that a lot of people in tech have ADHD, which feels
yep,
like I'm in great company. But
yeah,
I didn't really know tech was a thing until 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now. And a friend of mine went through a boot camp and was finishing it and was announcing it and was just so excited about it. And I called her on the phone and I was like, okay, tell me what this is, because you sound so passionate. And I haven't felt that way about like work and career in a long
yeah.
time. And so yeah, I
Wow.
called my friend. We were on like a 2-hour phone call, and she was just like really talking so passionately about this boot camp that she just went through. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I need to know more. I need to check this out. And so I just started doing my own research online, and everything just kind of fell into place. I found a local boot camp near me at the time. I was living in Atlanta, and I ended up getting into General Assembly for their full stack boot camp. So I did a full stack tech boot camp, and this was with
Good Lord.
no context, no background, no like knowledge. I knew how to do like very easy simple things on my computer. I didn't know anything.
It is time once again to thank this podcast's biggest supporters. Without you. Okay, yeah. Trying to do two things at once here. Hey, Santa. Without you, this podcast does not exist. So thank you, Leo Guinan. Thank you, Kirk Hofstrom. Thank you, Casey Elliott. Thank you, Sarah Delano. Thank you, Justin Ellingham. Thank you, Blushing Crafter. Thank you, Jamie Young. And thank you, Beth Jones. Without y'all, this podcast cannot exist.
And I started from scratch. 12 weeks later, I was building websites and apps.
That's unbelievable.
It was the most challenging and rewarding thing that I've ever done in my life. And I learned so much through it. I proved to myself that I could finish something. That was huge.
Yes.
Huge.
God, is that not awesome? Is that not awesome when you complete a task? Half the reason for like the Patreon versus the public episodes is because at the end of this, I just offload it to Patreon and I don't have to edit shit. And I'm like, there's a win, you know? That's a great thing. Because it does help. The consistent, like, I did this helps.
Yep.
It's just that society is telling all of us, you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge fucking issue with me. Because not only are we good enough, we are so much better when given the opportunities, the same opportunities as everyone else.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Only.
Yeah. And it's because our brains work slightly different and we're just able to, I feel like we see more of the picture. And
we see the big picture.
Yeah.
Of if this, for example, what person, ultra successful person has ever been normal? Like look at the world's most successful people.
Yeah.
What are they've got a screw loose? So do we. Who cares? Like we're going to be the ones that are going to not control, but we are going to be the ones that infiltrate society for the better because we have genuine care for other people. You want to talk about leadership? Put us in a management role and we will dog it to death.
Yeah.
Because we care about the people working for us, not just, punch the clock from 8 to 5.
Right.
We can give a shit how they do it as long as they get the job done. You give people freedom like that, and there is no stopping them.
And especially, I think how we like grab onto something and then it's like we are so hyper focused and we get obsessed with it, but that can bring so much good. And it has, like, for me personally. So, with this whole tech journey that I was on, right when I graduated that boot camp, pandemic hit. And I got so discouraged and I kind of just stopped. And I kind of just like backed away from it because I was like, well, I don't think people, like, I don't know. I made a lot of my own assumptions. I was like, I don't think people are going to be hiring right now. I'll just go back to my old industry, which was mortgage. And I did.
Oh.
I went back to mortgage for 3 years. But then earlier this year, I got laid off for the second time since I've been in mortgage. And I was just like, okay, I'm tired of this roller coaster. And I want I made the decision. It was June 1st. I made the decision, okay, I'm going to transition to tech. I said it out loud. I started putting together a plan kind of loosely in my head and just started, going online and finding information and kind of putting together my own like little plan. And this was all like, I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I'm going to do what I can. And I slowly started finding all of these like free resources. And I was like, okay, so at this point, I've already gone through a full stack boot camp, but I've forgotten everything that I just learned. And I was like, okay, well, I got to start from scratch again. And I did. So I found another boot camp online that I was able to attend for free, fully remote. I just graduated from it on Friday.
Oh, hell yeah. Congrats. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yes. That's fantastic. Oh, you got to be pumped as shit.
Completely re-skilled myself from stuff that I had already learned years before. But I was like, you know what? I forgot it, but this is really what I want to do. Like the 2 years prior had confirmed that, like, I kept thinking back. I was like, what if I had stuck with that? And what if I had kept going? And where would I be now? And I was like, you know what? I don't have to think about those things. I can just start over. Yeah. So I did. And it has been amazing. The second time around, I've built such a community and met so many people from like Twitter and LinkedIn. And fast forward to now, I am about to start my very first position. It's a 6-month contract fellowship. It's remote. It's paid. And
Oh my God, that's
it's a
perfect.
yeah, I get to continue to learn. I'm gonna be mentored. It's with an open source company. Like all
Oh
of these
my
things fell into
God.
place because I just kept going and I kept going. But I had the like you were saying, I had those little wins, I had those little things that like,
Yes.
you
And
know,
it's
going.
a big deal because it keeps you going. A lot of people will argue, and if this works for them, that's great. But they always say tackle the most difficult thing first. I somewhat disagree with that. And the reason that I do is I want to build the wins consistently throughout the day. So
Mhm.
shit, I brushed my teeth this morning. Boom, win. Give me a trophy.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Got
that,
out of bed this morning. Win.
right, exactly. So, and I told, I'm going to mention him in this. Kirk Hallstrom was one of the first people I spoke with, and his story was he literally walked into a tea store. He liked their tea so much that he started working there, and within 6 months, he was like the owner of the store. That he goes, but that just kind of happened. I go, no, it didn't just happen. What
Mhm.
happened was is that you worked your ass off for something that you loved. And at the time that you're doing that, you don't notice the fact that your brain is so brilliant that you've been setting it up the whole fucking time.
Mm.
You just don't
Yeah.
believe that you have until it happens.
Right. Right.
And that is very similar to what you're saying, I
Yeah.
think,
And it's
is
I love like it's like when
eh,
we
eh,
find something that lights us on fire,
oh my
oh,
God.
nothing's gonna
There's yeah,
nothing's
there's
gonna
yeah.
stop us.
Yeah, I liked college football. That's what I liked. So I walked up to the stadium, asked if I could volunteer, and it's been my only job my entire life. I've had the same job for 18 years.
That's amazing.
So because I can't now I will say that doing the podcast thing, I like this more
Mhm.
because I love speaking to people with ADHD because it makes me feel less alone, and it makes them feel less alone because let's be honest, like this world is, I think they're jealous of us. And I think they're jealous, and then jealousy turns to anger, and then anger turns to, hey, you know what? No, they're just being ADHD. But you put us in a rabbit hole, somebody. You
Mhm.
put us in a situation that really fucking matters in life. We are the first person all of these normal people go to.
Mm.
I mean, how much are you confided in by your friends?
Yeah.
Like, it's because
Yeah.
they know they can see the brain, but then you come up with a great idea, and it's like, oh, that's a decent idea or whatever. It's like, no, I just saved your life yesterday. So really, the next idea I have should be at the forefront of
Right.
what you're talking about.
Right.
Does that make sense? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I used to, I guess like earlier in adulthood, I was really kind of I would get down on the fact that like I can start stuff so great, but I am not a good finisher. And
right.
the more that I've learned and the more that I've grown, the more I've learned about myself, I've realized, no, starting is my superpower. I'm that person. Like, and it takes a team sometimes to like
Yes,
get good things going. And maybe I'm not the end person, but I can get it started and somebody else can come on and take the baton and push that thing forward.
absolutely.
But I can I'm great at getting people together. I'm great at, getting the team together and getting everybody excited and getting started on something and having the idea, but I might not make it to the finish line, and that is okay.
It's totally okay because guess what? You will make it to the finish line because the people that you have assembled care so much about you because you brought them out of their shell to
Mhm.
now y'all are all carrying each other through the finish line. That
Right.
is what I want this goal to be, is like
Yeah.
your weaknesses are my biggest strength and vice versa. So why don't we just
Yeah.
fucking get together and carry each other across the fucking
Yep.
line? Like this isn't
Yep.
difficult,
Yeah.
for an ADHD person to understand,
Right.
And so, oh God, Janackeh, God, this is, I'm so pumped up right now because it's like, it's, I still have not met a single person with ADHD that is not this unbelievably brilliant, dedicated work ethic, you know, to all shit person. Like,
Yeah.
not one.
Yeah.
So, God damn it, I'm about to rest my case on this theory, okay, about how much better.
And it's true, like you said, like we have so much like empathy. We care so deeply about things, and I don't know. I guess it's just we're very emotionally intelligent. Early
Yes,
on, like we are in tune to like what's going on around us.
everything,
Yeah,
all of it.
yeah,
But we won't pick up our toys when we're kids. Like
right. Oh
that's
no,
we're gonna get it out, like you said. The start, we're gonna make the train set or whatever, but that train set is staying there forever.
yeah,
Like that's that train set will be there for Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July, everything else. So you
yeah,
better not fuck with the train set because
right.
we'll never put it back together if you tear it down.
Yeah,
And that's
but
the
don't move it. Don't let somebody move it.
yeah, right. Not even 1 inch to the right. It's like no.
Notice. We'll
Have you
notice.
seen The Big Bang Theory? Have you ever seen that show? It's like Sheldon. It's like that's my spot. And of course he's the most. But to me, this can be such an advantage in the world. The problem is the world is 90% harping on us for all of our struggle. What other disorder on the planet do people harp on our weaknesses or on their weaknesses so much? I don't know but one. I mean, mental health, yes, autism, OCD, all those things, but like we make one mistake. We forgot to put the laundry in the dryer. We forgot to wash the dishes or whatever. And then it's also, so why can't you remember this? Yesterday, you did this and this and this. It's because, in my opinion, ADHD is a day-to-day, in-the-moment thing. And in our brains, if we wash the dishes, that is an hour that might break our momentum from doing something that ultimately matters in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we don't do that thing that ultimately matters, like for example, this to me ultimately matters. If I were to do the dishes, my wife would be really happy. But internally, I'd be like, I did the dishes. Like, how does that change the world?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand that feeling because the way that I have to like justify things, and you'll probably understand this, but like some other people will be like, what? But the way that I justify certain tasks, like washing the dishes,
Right.
I'm okay if I feel like I'll have to I'll put on a Twitter space or a podcast while I'm doing it. And if I'm like taking in information while I'm doing that mindless task, like I'm actually like doing something.
Holy shit, what a good comment. So the dishes are a mindless task, which is so interesting because we can't do the mindless tasks, but we can do the ones that take your full brain and your full mind. You may have just solved ADHD right there with that one comment. To be honest with you, we don't do the mindful.
I always
that's
have to,
amazing.
I always have to be listening to something, or and that's kind of how I started getting into audiobooks too, because it's like if I don't know, it's so weird to me also, but it works how if it's something like washing the dishes, or like right now I really need to organize my closet and I've put it off for months, but if I turn on some sort of something where my brain can be engaged, I can kind of do that other task on autopilot.
Now let me ask you this, do you probably don't like this, but if your boyfriend were to say while you're cleaning, well, why don't you put this here, why do you put this there, how does that go for you?
Just asking you why?
Yeah, well, not asking you why, but does he give you suggestions on how to organize or how to whatever? Because my wife tried that in the first 2 years of our marriage, and I was like, listen, that's where that TikTok came from, where I was like, just fucking leave. Just let me do it.
No, I saw that. Yeah, so I saw that TikTok. For context of anybody listening who doesn't know what we're talking about, he put out a TikTok that was, if you need somebody with ADHD to clean the house or do something in that kind of task, just leave, and when you come back, it'll be done. And I was like, when I saw that TikTok, I was like, the light bulb went off. I was like, that is so true. Because, and I noticed it, but I hadn't like really put words to it. But like,
Right.
if my boyfriend leaves the house, that is when I clean the house.
I
And
think,
it was always like subconscious, but I was like, I clean the house when he
yeah,
leaves.
why do
And
you think that is with us?
oh,
Now, it's not all of us. A lot of us have to have someone like
yeah,
standing there, whatnot, like the body
that
doubling
and I
thing.
get in those moods too. Like I
Yeah.
even did this last night. We were getting ready for bed and I was washing the dishes, but he was standing there talking to me and it really helped me to
Right.
just get it done.
Right.
But yeah, like when there's nobody there, it's like you can kind of we can be our weird selves.
And no
Like,
one's there to judge us
yeah.
for how
Or
we're doing it.
even
Like,
perceived, even if we perceive judgment and it's not even actually
that's a
happening.
that's a great point. That's a great
Yeah.
point. I do that all the time. That
Me
is one
too.
of my biggest weaknesses is I
Yeah.
perceive that like my wife is so angry when she's really not. She's
Yep.
just like, that is a damn good point, Janackeh.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
you've actually helped me a lot by saying that. I don't think anyone's told me that yet.
Yeah. I feel like, yeah, because it's like we
Eh,
don't have to like wrestle with that because we're constantly doing 5 things at one time
Yeah.
and probably not well at all. But our brains are just like, I have to do this and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And we're trying to
Yep.
like manage it all at the same time and do things like
Right.
we're superheroes. Um
I agree with that. We are superheroes. ADHD is not a superpower, I don't think, but I do think the people with it are superheroes if given the opportunity to do it their way.
yeah, yeah,
That's the biggest thing is it's
yeah.
got to be our way, and they're going to think,
Yeah.
well, oh, that's selfish or that's stubborn. You're goddamn right, it is. Like that's. I
I
mean,
don't
we
know. I
need.
think it's just
We,
I don't even know if it's selfish or stubborn. It's like literally like we don't think like you. Our brains have put this together in such a way and it's gonna get done, but let us do it in our order, in our way, and it's gonna be so much better than you thought it was gonna turn out.
absolutely.
As long as you let us do it in our,
The rationalization for me is it's more of a fu type of rationalization because I was so sick of teachers telling me like you're dumb and you need to do
mm,
better on this test and this is going to dictate your whole future and why are you bringing sports articles into class and reading them instead of listening to or reading Romeo and Juliet. And I'm like, okay, I don't really need to read Romeo and Juliet to have them describe how to get laid in high school. Okay, whatever. What I need to do is follow the sports team, okay, that I love, and I'll worry about the rest later. It's the same team like that I grew up loving. I work for
that's
like,
amazing.
and it's only because it was the blinders. It
You're
was
focused, yeah.
this is what I care about,
Yeah.
but none of them related what they were trying to teach to what I cared about.
Hmm.
If they could have related it, then maybe, but isn't that the job of the teacher to figure out how to relate a topic to the student?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's, but they can't do that for everybody. And I get that. I'm tired of people. I'm tired of seeing people so down on themselves
Hmm.
because the world is telling them that they are not good enough
Right.
because they are so much better
Hmm.
than the people telling them that they're not good enough.
Yeah. They just need somebody to pay a little bit of attention. Pay a little bit of attention, and you'll start to notice, okay, this is what sparks this child.
Yeah.
This is what, gets them excited. This is what they're interested in. This is kind of the avenue that I need to go in order to actually teach them and
Exactly.
reach them and have them, gain information from whatever it is that you're trying to, get them to grasp.
Well, and
Because they
it's
can do it.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough for the neurotypicals to understand us, but it's also really tough for us to understand them.
Hmm.
Like it's hard for us to sit there and wonder why this task is taking so long when it's simply, sitting, just do it. Like
Yeah.
that's and if it's important, we'll do it.
Yeah.
If it's not, it
Yeah. And
might not happen. It might not happen.
I'm remembering now, like when you're talking about more like childhood stuff, I
Yeah.
remember so many times when it was almost a theme of mine to, if there was like some assignment or something that we were presenting as the class, I
Uh,
always felt like I interpreted the instructions completely different from everybody else. And like I would do it, but my thing would be
okay. Class assignments. I got to tell this story. So we were reading Hamlet, I think, or something like that in English. And then the teacher wanted us to act out a scene of Hamlet. And our scene was, and I might be wrong on which story this is because I got them all confused because it was Shakespeare and it doesn't matter right now to me in that moment. But it was like someone had a dagger and whatever. So what I did, I was the ghost. I wanted to be the ghost
okay.
because I could put a sheet over my head with a hat and then tape the lines to the bill so that no one knew that I was reading it. And
Right.
I had the whole shit in front of me. We got it. We got a great grade. It was like, holy shit, Lobo, how did you do that? And I was like, I taped the lines to the, to the hat or whatever. They're like, well, that's, you figured it. You figured it out
Yeah.
because you knew you wouldn't recite those things. I was like, make me the ghost. I'll put the lines on the hat. The teacher won't know, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah. That's perfect.
That's right. That's what ADHD does. Is it
Yeah.
sees the issue of I'm not going to remember these fucking lines,
Mm-hmm.
but I can find a way. And honestly, I didn't even read them. It was the excitement of knowing that I had them in my back pocket if I needed it. It was knowing, it was putting the ghost sheet on the head with the hat on and then, flipping down the lines. That was basically the motivation of, here's some dopamine. Why don't you figure out a way to trick the system? You figure out a way to trick the system, you don't have to trick the system because figuring it out is what drives us
right.
to do it. But I thought that was hilarious. Just in my thing.
Yeah, it was always, and and even at that point, I didn't quite, I guess, realize that something was totally different. I still was in that mindset of, oh, this is how everybody experiences it. And it's like, slowly throughout life, I've been like, nope, this is not how everyone else experiences things. Like, I remember once I got in trouble. This was like in 3rd grade, maybe 2nd grade. I was in a classroom, and the way that the teacher had the desks, it was like half the class was facing one direction and the other half of the desk were facing another direction. And we had like 2 chalkboards in front of each set of desks. So like this side of the class could do this and the other side could do something else. Well, everybody was sitting on one side of the room and I was the only person sitting on the other side of the room. For some reason, I was working on something. And out of nowhere, I decided in my head that I needed to change my shirt. I'm sitting over there by myself, and I was trying to be real like nonchalant about it and like change my shirt over my clothes and kind of take open up. I don't know why I was trying to do this. And my teacher called me into the bathroom and she was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I needed to change my shirt. And she was like, why are you doing that? There's boys in the class. And that was the furthest thing from my mind. I was focused on changing the shirt. I didn't care who was there.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, well, they're all facing the other way. They can't see me. Like, this is how I'm justifying it in my little kid head.
Maybe this is an adoption thing because I did the exact same thing, except I had the knowledge of, okay, I can't just take off my shirt in the middle of class. Mm-hmm. I have to go into the little closet. So there were 2 classes separated by like one closet. You had 5th grade this and 6th grade or whatever. So I walk into the closet to change shirts and I see a fire extinguisher.
Uh-oh.
And I'm like, ooh, shiny button. What does this do? Psst. There was no fire. Like it was 3rd grade. And so, of course, the whole school has to evacuate all this kind of shit. And I'm just sitting there, and it was like, so did you do this? I'm like, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I absolutely did. I'm so sorry. it was it was like, well, what were you trying to do? But I remembered that there was a light switch right next to where the fire extinguisher was.
Mhm.
So in my brain, I pictured that exact scene, and I go, I was trying to flip the light back off before I walked out, and I accidentally.
I mean,
And,
okay.
and people are going to say, "Oh, that's lying." Yeah, but but also it was more of a like, I don't want to be expelled,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and I need to rationalize this because I didn't have any other way of presenting how my brain worked. To know that
Mhm.
if you put something shiny like that in front, like I'm going to see what it does. If I don't know what it does, I'm going to do everything I can to figure it out.
Yeah.
The world doesn't understand that.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
you can't put those kind of things in an
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, it just and then as children, we get written off, some of us, as like being quote unquote bad. And
100%.
it's like, no, we're actually curious. That's
Which
what it is.
but isn't that the best thing about the world is the people that are curious, the people that are willing to take the risk and say, "Hey, I'm going to talk to someone about ADHD
Yeah.
that I've never met before. I'm
Yeah.
going to send them a Zoom link and we're going to talk." Like, you know how many people are so scared of doing
Yeah.
that? And I was at first.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I was. I had been given horror stories. The internet is bad or whatever. Then I met Leo, and it was like, okay. He explained it to me in a way where it was like, no, it's really not terrible. Um,
Right.
and I don't know. I do want to ask you about the adoption thing because
Mhm.
I'm not going to get this opportunity. This opportunity is amazing. I think that a lot of ADHDers are adopted. And
Okay.
I feel like since ADHD is genetic for the most part, I think is that I'm not a psychologist. Like I have no degrees, but I think that that's. Do you think that it might be the parents? Like for me, for example, it was the parents. They were, younger and just out for the night. We're so impulsive and live in the moment that it's like you forget protection. That's a way down the line
Mhm.
issue. Like I feel like there are a lot more ADHD adopted people than there are that will say it.
Mm.
Does
I'm
that does that make sense? It's an impulsive
Yeah.
like I'm gonna have some fun tonight, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I forgot about the safety.
Mm. Okay. I see what you're saying.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? It's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, I don't have a condom. Oh well, oh well. That's 9 months down the road.
Right.
Like, and that's where I think ADHD, at least for me, has been the biggest detriment is delayed consequences.
Mm.
And it's not, and I don't mean that hasn't happened to me, but finances.
Mm.
Finances are a delayed consequence. They are, you don't pay your bill for a month, no one cares. You don't pay your bill for 2 months, they might send you one notice. Three
Mhm.
months, you're kicked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's and then but now at the last second, I will scramble around and I will make it happen.
Yeah.
But does
Yeah.
that
Finances has been really hard for me.
oh my God,
Um,
me too.
just
I
now at like 40, 41 years old, am I like finally in a place that feels stable? But like before, when I was just like single by myself and,
yeah,
in relationships or whatever, it was difficult. I had
yes.
that when you were talking about like paying bills and monthly, ooh, that was so hard for me, like being on my own. And generally, that's why, like, if I'm in a relationship, I try to have them do all of that because I
Oh,
know that
100%.
I am so like, yeah, I'm not thinking about it. And I'm like, oh, I don't have to pay that right now. Or I
Yeah.
forget that I didn't pay it for 2 months or whatever the case may be. Like it's been rough. I've had cars repossessed. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it's been
No,
rough.
that's exactly so have I. And
It's been rough.
that's American Express decided to give me a credit card when I first got a job that was like double the limit of what my salary was, and then they'd
Mm,
send me a bill for like $11. Like
mhm.
I only have to pay $11, but I spent like
Right.
a couple hundred. And it's like, oh, this is okay. And then 6 months later, it's like you're fucked. Like and that is a problem. I think for ADHD, especially financially. We get a piece of paper in the mail that says you don't have to pay this immediately. Then we're not going to fucking pay it.
Mhm.
You get a bill in the mail that says you're going to prison if you do not make this payment, and within an hour, we will figure
Right.
out
Yes.
how to fucking do it.
Yeah.
Like that, but I'm
Yeah.
not saying that that's right to do, like send people,
Right.
hate mail, but society is not geared towards the way our brain works.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Because then there's late fees and late payments and
Mhm.
late, all this. They know that a lot of people don't care about the $30 late fee or the $5 late fee, but those $5 late fees
Add up. Yeah.
build. I don't know.
But but I think I guess like the positive side of that is like when something's going down, we are the people to call. Like we know how to handle under pressure, under stress, under a deadline. Oh, we're gonna get it done. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna find out whatever it is that we need to do to get shit done on time.
Lobau's Spark has started a fundraising effort for Crisis Text Line. We have a goal of $19 per episode, as $19 supports just one person in their time of crisis with their mental health. If you would like to donate through our fundraiser titled Warren's Infinity, the link is listed in the episode's description. Lauren was my wife's best friend and loved by all who came into contact with her.
Absolutely.
And then everybody looks at us and they're like, whoa, how did you do
yeah, where was this the last 6 months? Like that's just what they ask. And it's just like, well, there was pressure on us.
Right.
So do you want the person that performs the best when it ultimately matters?
Mm.
Do you want the person that has the most brilliant mind in the world when there is a crisis?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want the person that just kind of hangs out and does things 50-50?
Yeah.
100%, 0%. 0% the bullshit. 100% the things that actually fucking matter in life.
Exactly.
I think we are so powerful. I do. Like, I really believe this.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So
and
that's just my take.
I live for those situations, those moments.
I know.
People call me. They're like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, I got you. I'll help you figure it out. Like,
absolutely. You'll drive there, talk to them all night, do whatever you need to do.
Like we'll figure it out. Like I love that because I'm good, when something's super important and needs to be figured out, I will find out whatever it is. Like I love that. I love that.
It's because it's what matters in life. The ultra most badass people in this world, which are us, by the way, thrive when it's really hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's our brain naturally does that because it's the dopamine. It's like, okay, let's go. But we're only like that when it matters.
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of person you want on your team?
Right.
Like,
yeah. And it's interesting how we can we observe others and we can see who kind of has the same attitude.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely doesn't.
Yeah, that's very true. And I think the people that survive, the people, that was the wrong word, but the people that like don't do well with ADHD, and yes, a lot of it has to do with upbringing. I'm so lucky that my parents notice it, but a lot of it is the fact that they listen to people when they say you're not good enough. And that's kind of why I present the front, I guess I do on TikTok or whatever, is I just want someone with ADHD to meet me in the middle. Like I'm out there saying, fuck you, it's a superpower, blah, blah, blah. If they could just meet me in the middle of saying, you know what, I might have this, but here's what I can do based on this and this and this. I feel like the more that we are saying this is such a drawback, the person on the couch that has no incentive, that has nowhere else to go, is just going to stay there because it's all this negativity being brought in, and they go on TikTok and it's like, oh, isn't this terrible? And then everyone cries and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. There's a place for that. But what about the person that doesn't know whether they have it or not? What is going to motivate them to get off the couch and go get diagnosed, or to say, you know what, I can maybe self-diagnosis or whatnot, but I have this that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
That might help them say, okay, well, if I can do that, this might suck, but if I can do that,
Yeah.
then I'm more willing to accept it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's,
I mean, I'm proud to have ADHD.
me too. Me too.
Like,
Like,
you know, it's not something that I shy away from or that I'm ashamed of. Like, it's made me literally the unique person that I am.
that's why you're so amazing and your life is so incredible now.
Mm.
It's might be because of it,
Mm-hmm.
not in spite of it.
Yeah. Because like now I realize so much more. I'm so much more self-aware of like how different I think about things and
Right.
how I experience things, and it's like, you know, in my relationship it's just comedy now. Like, you know, at first, you know, we have a little bit of like, oh, it's completely comedy because
That's so funny.
when I tell him like what I'm thinking about something, he's just like cracking up. He's just like, you are hilarious. I was like, this is just what pops in my brain.
Are you the life of the party?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck yeah, I love it. I knew it. And that's and how good does that feel?
Yeah.
To be able to just own a room and just know that like you're gonna
Yeah.
do some funny things and people are gonna laugh.
People are like so
Like,
scared socially.
I know.
I walk into a situation and I will say the things that nobody else is saying, but everybody's thinking. You can see it on their faces. Like, and I'm like, okay, just say it and get it out and over with, laugh about it, and move on. Like,
That is a direct quote from my second episode I ever did on this podcast when it was just me talking, you know, to myself. And I was like, they're all jealous. Like, you say what you want to say when you want to say it, and everyone notices.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, look at this person. We should revere them because they go against the grain. Well, I mean, yeah. So why aren't we being revered? Like that by people that other than our friends. If I'm the world, I'm going, oh, they have ADHD. Fucking bring them on right now. This is where they would be perfect.
Yeah.
But no one thinks like that because it's too impulsive or whatever. Yeah, but the impulsive person, by the way, just made an impulsive decision to save your fucking life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know,
I love it. But I think, you know, and I love how like the younger generations, they are getting to experience life with people talking openly about these things, and you know, it being a positive thing, and children actually getting the, you know, the care that they need as far as like
100%
personalized care when it comes to like school or whatever it is. Like, that's amazing, because when we were children, we couldn't even.
No, they didn't know as much. You know, they didn't know as much, and it was, oh, here's some Ritalin, here's some this, here's some that, and it's like, okay, well, and it took me probably 15 years to get medication right, and I've been on the same dose for about, you know, the last 15 years, from the age of 25 to 40 now. God, I'm 40. Jesus Christ. But I
have that moment once a day.
Do you really? Now, how long do these moments last when you hit 40? Is it is it a consistent?
Yeah, pretty much. But like, it's all just me, because like people that meet me, they were like, I thought you were 25, and I was like, well,
exactly.
Because that's how I act, you know. And I'm like, I'm guessing that's a compliment. I'll take it as a compliment. But to me, you know, I take that as, you know what, you act youthful, you are full of life, you're vibrant, you know, and I'll take that, because I'll probably be 60 and still be acting the same way. So
because you can be a kid.
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally a kid.
Absolutely. So how many movies out there demonstrate that entire thing? Oh, we should be children at heart. We should be well, motherfuckers, we have this. This is who we are. Yeah. So like, stop trying to give the advice and then criticize the people who actually do it.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Yeah. 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 We're out here. We're out here.
Right. Is there anything about this is, oh my God, I'm gonna go chop down 5 trees after this. That's my that's my exercise. Is I can't go to gyms because it's the whole, like, you know, being watched thing. I don't like to do those things when I want to be alone, free of distractions. So chopping firewood is my exercise. Plus, I live in the country, so it's not really a gym out here.
Yeah.
But it's also, I see a result every day. If I chop one fire that is the firewood stack gaining something. So the next day I come back and do it again because I want to see it get it. You know, it's not the physical, like, oh, I'm going to be so ripped and all this kind of stuff, because no one gets that way overnight. The problem is ADHD people will exercise for a certain amount of time, but then stop because they're not seeing a physical result, but the result can be mental.
Yeah.
For me, it's, I see something building each day. So now, of course, the property is loaded with firewood. My wife's like, we've got to get rid of some of this. But it happens. Is there anything else about your journey that you want to say before I ask you the second and only question? The most important question. I mean, I feel like we've done a pretty damn good job of bringing awareness today.
You know, I've had a different journey, I guess, in the fact that I was diagnosed as an adult, and I was almost 40. I was 39 when I got diagnosed, and you know, I was I went through that whole period of, oh, if I would have known as a child, or if I would have known it as a teenager, my whole life may have been different. But you know what? You know, it's fine. Like, my life is how it was, and it was still great, and I can move on from this point and knowing what I know now, and still keep going, and you know, bring awareness to others and help celebrate other people when they're finding out that they got diagnosed, and then also, like, really be out there saying, you know what, this is not a bad thing. You know, this is actually a great thing, and you're just going to learn so much more about yourself and be able to manage your own brain and feel some sense of control. You know, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's about controlling the good things. Because a lot of the bad things, we don't, some of us, myself included, I'm not good at managing the bad aspects of my ADHD, but I am phenomenal at increasing the great parts of it.
Yeah.
So the double-edged sword thing, I only sharpen one side, and that's the side that's already awesome, because I can fucking ignore that other side and cut through anything life throws at me with that sharpest shit blade. If I'm trying to sharpen a dull blade, it might get to a medium level, but then I'm not worrying about something to handle life's most difficult issues. And that's I so many people don't understand what they have, and I do, and I'm trying desperately to spread that, to get other people to realize that, like, your good qualities are so much better than a lot of other people's good qualities. Like 90% of the world's is what I think. Last question for you, Janackeh, before we hop off here. But what are you most proud of? I have to do it. And it cannot. Okay, now here's the thing, though, about this question. And everyone hates this, of course. But it can't be like, I am proud of, you know, meeting my boyfriend or whatnot. It's got to be, you are proud of a certain characteristic that you have.
Okay.
Because a lot of people say my kids and whatnot. I'm like, that's great. But, you know, what about yourself?
Yeah. I'm proud that I find meaning in helping others. Like, my entire life, all I've wanted to do is help other people. Everything that I do, I try to do it in a way that will help somebody else. And it all stems from me knowing what it feels like at times to not have that, and constantly wanting to become what I need.
Oh my God, Janackeh. Because I have spent 1 year trying to explain to everyone I've spoken with that helping other people helps you at the same time. So when people are saying, like, oh, you're not focusing on yourself enough, that I disagree with that, because if I'm focusing on someone else, I'm also focusing on myself. I'm just doubling it up.
Yeah. And
Thank you for proving my thesis.
Talk about a dopamine hit. Like,
no shit. That's, I mean, to me, this is not difficult. Like, this is not a difficult concept to wrap your head around. Like, why are we so badass? Like, why are we so awesome? I think it's because maybe we just thrive on helping other people. And then that gives us a jolt that carries us for a long, long time.
Yeah.
What other person in the world could help somebody else and genuinely help themselves at the same time and not be bashful about it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people care because caring works. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm a business. I care. Here's a day off, whatever. They don't fucking care.
Right.
We care because we actually have a vested interest in caring about that person. That's what lasts throughout time.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else.
And it's not like, when we approach somebody else or somebody going through a hard time or whatever it is, we don't just stop at, oh, I hope it gets better. We're like, no, how can I get in here with you?
Yeah. It's jumping on their sinking boat and saying, I will do whatever it takes. Might take some duct tape, some zip ties, the ADHD cure for everything, right? To get the leak in the boat taken care of. But I'm going to stay with you.
Absolutely.
Throughout. There's no other type of person like that.
Yeah.
So, Janackeh, you will receive some emails so we get together once every Friday at 5:30. People that have been on this podcast before, I would kill for you to join one of these group things where it's an automated thing. You'll get it hopefully if Leo does my technology, because I have no fucking idea how to do email lists or anything like that. He'll send you that, and it's every Friday at 5:30. You don't have to. People come and go as they please. Every now and then we'll do an episode where it's like a group episode, but that's on a topic. You'll get an email there too. But it's literally all of these genius people getting together and just being able to not care about judgment. It's just an ADHD party for 1 hour. That's it. That's all it is. So we can talk about hey, how was your week? Well, my week was kind of shitty because I lost my keys and this and that. But no one makes fun of them. I mean, we all laugh, but it's people that are laughing at us understand us also. So it's not a threatening, why didn't you do this or why didn't you do that? I
totally get it.
Yeah, it's a free thing. Janackeh, I am, oh my God, I'm so posting this really soon because this is, I love it. This shit jacks me up so much, I can't even tell you. To meet someone else, first of all, that's adopted. That's number one. That's number one. But secondly, that is using their ADHD like you are, and not letting society's bullshit get to you, and you're just doing it. That is fucking amazing. Sorry, I'm at a loss. I get so motivated by this.
Yeah.
Because so many people aren't.
Yeah.
We need to help them.
Yeah.
See the good things. So, love you, Janackeh, and I will see you very soon. Anything else?
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God, I'll have you again tomorrow. We'll do another episode tomorrow. I can talk to you every fucking day. I can tell you that right now. All right. Have a great one.
All right.
See you soon.